Coming to you direct from Silencer Shop Studios, home of the Glass Case of Emotion.
SilencerShop.com, the easiest way to buy silencers online, period.
Stand by for education, enlightenment, enjoyment, and entertainment.
He's not here to talk about your feelings. He's not here to say what you want to hear. He's here to say what needs to be said.
Ladies and gentlemen and children of all ages, please welcome your host, the pimp hand of America, Professor Paul Markle.
All right, yeah. I'm sorry I had to lay the smackdown on you guys yesterday, but sometimes the pimp hands just got to do it. And yesterday's topic I had to bring it out. But today, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling a little bit more fresh, a little bit more happy because I'm going to interview a new friend. And it's a new friend through an old friend, and that's sometimes the best thing to do. It is Thursday, and I'm telling you, you don't believe us. They don't believe us anymore. When we say that these just coincidentally go up on Thursday, they don't believe it anymore, do they, Jared?
I don't think so.
No, they're like, you're not fooling me. You're doing it on purpose. Maybe it's just to get them excited and get them all the way through the weekend.
Yeah.
Because they're not grad program members, they don't get to listen to us again until Monday. So, kind of makes them sad a little bit. But don't be sad. We're gonna have a super happy fun time today.
Don't get sad. Be glad.
Before we get into it, because once you guys know how it goes, once I get it interviewing a guest, we just go. We're just gonna freeform it, and it's gonna be good. But thank you to our friends at Duracoat. Remember, we're going to do a Duracoat contest. We're doing it all through the month of May. And after the NRA show, actually on Memorial Day, Jared is going to pick, between the two of us, the coolest, the neatest, the most interesting Duracoat Student of the Gun tattoo project. Send us your pictures, and we'll bring you on the radio, and you can tell everyone in the world all about it.
If you post them on social media, you need to hashtag it Student for Life. That's the only way we're going to find it. So
That's right. Brownells and Brownells.com. Got a gun? They got something for you. Even if you don't have a gun, they got something for you. I know for a fact that they have frog lube at Brownells. It's green, it's minty fresh, and it goes on your guns. It is a non-petroleum-based firearms lubricant. Yes, it's true. It's true. Get it. Put it on your toast. I don't care. You're an American. Do what you want. SWAT Fuel. And make sure that you're using the promo code SOTG. 201 Fiber. If you do that, you're going to save yourself some cash, and you want to be fit and save cash at the same time because that is a good thing. And I don't know if we promoted it or not yesterday. We didn't yesterday, Jared, and I'm going to go ahead and remind them today. SWAT Fuel is giving away those 4 tickets to the 100th anniversary running of the Indy 500, and the way you're eligible is it's retarded easy. You just go to SWATfuelstore.com and you make a purchase between now and the end of May, and then your name is going to be in the hat. And you may win those 4 tickets. So
you want your name in that hat.
Yeah, you definitely want it. Who wouldn't? A free trip to see even I would do that, and I don't really give 2 rats' asses. Can I say that?
Yeah.
I just did. Yeah. About the Indy 500, but hey, it's the 100th anniversary. What the heck? You want to talk about 41F or you want me to talk about 41F?
I'll talk about 41F. I just want to remind you guys that the deadline is coming up. July 8th is the deadline, and you can go to silencershop.com, find out everything you need to know about the 41F regulation and the Powered by Silencer Shop guarantee. So go to silencershop.com today.
This washed away all my sins, starting over once again. This is where it all begins. It's right in front of me. Down is not where I belong. This aching heart won't turn to stone. There's a fire inside these bones. It was meant to be. I see your world still full of light. How could I ever been so blind? I still haven't lost my fight that haunts me in my sleep. I feel like waking up. I've had this dream before. I take these footsteps.
All right, kids, that is Footsteps from the album Up by Pop Evil. And the reason I played that is because hanging out on the line with me right now is Matt Dorito, the bass player, the bassist for Pop Evil. Matt, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy concert schedule to talk to us today.
Hey, brother, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and tell the audience how we met. It's only been a week or so ago, and it's a crazy thing. we decided last week was Zach the Shipping Ogre. It was his birthday week, and his mother got tickets to the concert, which was Pop Evil, Rob Zombie, and Disturbed. We were getting ready to go, and I texted my buddy James Yeager because I knew that he knew you, and I thought it would just be a fun piece of information for him to have. I was going to take Zach to this concert for his birthday, and so I texted him. I was like, "Hey, we're going to see Pop Evil and Zombie and Disturbed," and he goes, "When?" Or he goes, "Where?" I said, "In Biloxi." He goes, "Well, when?" I said, "Tonight." And so the phone rings. He goes, "Dude, why didn't you tell me?" I was like, "Well, I just did." he goes, Matt Dorito is a gun guy and a cool guy, and he, I don't know if he'd want to meet you, but maybe. And I was like, "Well, I don't know." He goes, "Well, all right, I'm going to hang up, and I'm going to call you back." So he called me back, and he says, "Hey, I talked to Matt, and he's down with the sickness, and he might want to talk to you." So we went to the show. We watched you guys play as a 4-piece. Did you play as a 5-piece this weekend?
We did play as a 5-piece. We only played that one day as a 4-piece.
I was a little concerned because we were watching it, and Zach says, "Dad, the one guitar player just ran off stage." I was like, is he throwing up? I don't know. Is he okay? I guess he's okay. And then when we saw the roadies, we're over there working on the audio, we're like, that's got to be one of those. The Gremlins.
Yeah, first day of tour problems. Get them sorted out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
It takes one good day to knock the dust off.
But it was all right. It was, from my perspective,
it was great.
It was great.
Yeah.
So kudos to our sound guy then.
Exactly, for balancing it all out.
That's a good sound man if he can fill up the void when there's one guitar player missing.
He could have just done the high school talent show and just stood up and pretended. No one will know.
That actually is what he did for the last 2 songs. He just jumped up there with his guitar even though it wasn't working.
It wasn't working. Yeah, because I saw him return.
Because I was like, man, that was pretty good. They fixed it. Yeah. We won't tell anyone. We won't tell anyone that happened.
He's like, screw this. This is boring. I'm going to get back up on stage.
Yeah, exactly. I got to at least jump around at 1 or 2 songs.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So we watched you guys play, then we watched Zombie, and then Matt was very kind. I'm going to tell you, Student of the Gun audience listeners, he was very kind to come out into the general population with us and to meet Zachary and for his birthday. We took pictures and we talked, and then Matt and I did the old home thing. I held up my left hand and said, "Where are you from?" And that's the super secret handshake for people from Michigan.
Yeah, and little did you know, I've actually got it tattooed on mine.
Oh, you do? You have the hand and the star on your body?
Oh yeah. I've got on the inside of my hand. I've got X where I'm from.
Where are you from?
Oh, so you can always remember. Yeah,
that's right.
Now you're from the left side of the state, and I'm from the right side of the state, the lower right side.
We've got a bunch of people up there listening.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, I know our Michiganders, because there was another one. Whoop! I just let that land. Michiganders are all going crazy now. Yeah, I was born in Detroit in 1967, and
wow,
yeah, I know. Ago. He's like, damn. Wow. It's like you didn't look that old in person. I know.
Yeah, you don't.
I take care of myself.
You don't look that old in person.
And we were talking about old school stuff like Harpo's and Gratiot Avenue and the demilitarized zone.
It's nasty, man. It's only gotten worse out there.
Now, have you played in Detroit lately?
Yeah, but we stick to the theaters and stuff like that. Like we'll go down by the Fox Theater or there are a couple other. I'm blanking on the name of them now, but we don't play there very often. Maybe twice a year. We usually do it once around the holidays, and then maybe one other time spread out throughout the year, but not often at all.
Well, it's you and I talked. It's sad. I mean, I saw it declining, and then we escaped. My family we loaded up a truck and we escaped from Detroit before it imploded, and it's pretty terrible. But that's what happens when you put Democrats in charge. Well, let's talk about some fun stuff. Let's talk about good stuff.
Okay.
Now, guns and rock and roll. Now, tell me about your experience as a gun guy. Yeager said, he goes, hey, you need to talk to Matt because Matt is actually, he's down with it. He's a Second Amendment guy. And, you know, sadly, a lot of people, they fall into the trap, whether they're musicians or actors or whatever. They get in this peer group, whether it's the Los Angeles scene or the New York scene, and they start regurgitating. I've noticed this. You get a stand-up comic or a new either musician or whatever. They come on the scene, they get popular, and they start hanging around with the clique. And then before you know it, they're regurgitating all this left-wing propaganda. And it's easy. They feel like they have to say that to be like part of the in crowd. But
well, I'll let you in on a little secret here. I was actually born in California. Ouch! I know.
But you escaped, so that's good.
But I was, I've lived in Michigan since I was 10 years old, and I've got a lot of that, sort of bred into me. And not only that, but most of my family has all been military. My uncles, my grandfather, my cousins, all military guys. So, my upbringing, I guess, has a lot to do with it and my point of view on things too. But, what's funny is my dad and my immediate family, were never really into guns. We had BB guns and stuff like that coming up. But when it came to, actual firearms, I had very little experience growing up. And it took really until I got out on the road with the band and had some run-ins. The first place I ever, got a gun pulled on me on the road was Fort Wayne, Indiana. The first place I was ever had shots fired at me was in the alley behind Harpo's in Detroit. And those things made me, in my early days, so scared of anything gun related. And it was, I remember like a light bulb one day. I was like, well, I'm terrified of these things because I don't know anything about them really. And I took it upon myself to go register for a pistol class, bought a gun, got my concealed carry license. And I thought, well, all I'll need is, this one gun. That's it. I just want to get this one and just learn about it and, train with it, practice, everything else. And then, I go to the range and have a friend meet me there, and they bring out something else. I go, oh, I got to have one of those too. And then, someone brings something else, and well, I got to have one of those. And it's almost, you start seeing the value of different guns for different applications and, different scenarios. I feel like you're always trying to trace down like the perfect carry gun. And well, depending on who you ask, there either is or isn't one. But I feel like, as I grow and as I shoot more and as I travel more, my opinions are forever being, molded and shaped to different types of, carry positions or carry guns or techniques and things like that. So I'm just, at this point, still a sponge. I'm about 10 years into it now, as far as buying guns, training with guns and things like that. And I just try to keep an open mind because, a lot of people on the road, and sometimes you got to sift through what you hear, and sometimes you get a little golden nugget that could change your whole perspective on everything that you do. So
you just hit the nail right on the head, and that's something that we talk about a lot is, when you take your first class, you should actually leave with more questions than you had when you got there. And people are like, oh, that doesn't make any sense. I want to learn it all. Like, no, you think that you pretty much have the gist of it. You take a class and you walk out of there like, wow, there's so much that I didn't know.
Absolutely. And the thing that scares me are the people that don't feel that way coming out of class, because I see that more often than not. I see a lot of people that will go and they'll do what's required of them to get their carry permit, and then they'll walk out of there feeling like they're the Terminator, or
Oh, yeah.
or James Bond or something like that. It's like, okay, well, I hear it all the time. My wife is safe because she's got a snubby 38 in her purse. Well, she's not. That doesn't make you safe. Holding a gun or having a gun on you does not make you safe.
Well, I gave her one. Well,
Yeah.
okay. Well,
Does she know how to
that's
use
good.
it? I mean,
well, she doesn't like to shoot it because it hurts her hand, and the trigger press is 13.5 pounds. But she has it. Well, all right then. That's great. And you're absolutely what you said is absolutely right. I mean, James has said it. We've said it. We said that people have this crazy misconception that your state mandated concealed carry training course is training. And
right.
that's not training. That is, you're checking off the blocks as required by the state. Now, it's not to say that you can't do that, but unfortunately, the reality is the state mandates that you do so much, in chair time, listening to, most of the classes I've ever been to, these state mandated classes. By the time you get out of there, you're like, man, he just spent 3 hours telling me how I'm going to go to jail for doing things wrong. I don't even want to carry this now. And they, it's like, you just talk me out of it. It's like I don't see any upside now. But it's go ahead.
I actually dropped in on a class. My sister was going for her concealed carry recently, and I kind of dropped in towards the end of her class, which ended like 4.5 hours ahead of schedule. I don't know how that's even possible. And I got there for the shooting portion, which consisted of about 20 minutes of a group of like 15 girls all shooting at the same target. And the instructor was asking, all right, so who wants to try shooting at this? Oh, no, you don't feel like shooting? Okay, well, then you can do this, or you can do that. And he was like subbing out things for them to do so that they didn't have to actually shoot at the target, which I was pretty sure is a requirement that you have to know how to shoot your gun and handle it safely. But it was one of the scariest things that I've ever seen, because he had no distinct firing line for anyone to line up on. There were no range rules, so to say. This is at an outdoor gun range. Mm-hmm. And I see 15 women holding 15 guns, swinging them by their side, walking around in circles and following this guy all over. And just everyone muzzling everyone.
Well, it's all good until that thing goes bang and, until a bullet hits, until somebody loses an eye. Oh, yeah. That, we as a culture need to, unfortunately, there's so much ego wrapped up around the industry and around, guns and gun carrying and so forth that we have a hard time policing our own. Because if you point out, even if you're trying to not be a dick, to say, hey, there's a better way to do this, you get the pushback like, who the hell are you to tell me what I can do? It's like, and people ask us all the time. They're like, well, Paulo, I went to the range and this guy was like super jacked up, and should I say something? And my answer is no, because if you give them unsolicited advice, you immediately become a dick, and they stop listening to you. Like, who the hell are you? I've been shooting since I was born, and my Uncle Jim taught me. And I'm like, okay, well, just that's
one of the number one problems that you run into. Is ego. When you're going into it, you're trying to better yourself, or nobody's at the range because they want to get worse. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, everyone's there to improve their skills, to get better and things like that, which, I'm not advocating unsolicited advice, but, even in the form of taking a class or taking a pistol class and being under the instruction of someone, I think people make the mistake of, going in there with an ego sometimes. Like, well, I'm going to show this instructor what I know.
Oh, absolutely, dude. You just described every firearms training class that has gone on from the history of ever.
There's always one dude,
one guy in the class he's there to show the instructor how good he is. He's not there to learn. He's there to show the instructor how good he is. And I've actually had my friend Dave Spalding. He told me one time, he said I'd had enough of the clown. He said there's always one clown, and he said he said I was on the podium when I was talking about the next exercise we're going to do, and he raised his hand and he injected something, and he said I just stopped talking and walked off to the side. He said, and everyone in the class just stared at me, and he said, go ahead, come on up and finish, because you obviously know more than I do. And Dave said, it's amazing the number of people that will pay me for training. They'll pay me to come to my class and show me how good they are, to tell me how good they are. It's like, but we got to get over it. Now, the one thing that you'll appreciate probably, and if you know who Jeff Cooper is, I'm guessing Jeff Cooper in Gunsight. And Cooper said years ago, he said, owning a guitar no more makes you a musician than owning a gun makes you an armed citizen. I just hacked it, but his thing was like, so you can go out and buy a guitar. So you're now a guitar owner. Congratulations. Are you a musician? No. And going to a store and buying a gun makes you a gun owner. It doesn't mean that you have the skill or ability to do anything with it. But people assume that, well, I bought it. Check. I checked the block. Now I have a gun.
Wait, you mean?
You know what else? When I watched Karate Kid when I was 8 years old, I thought I could do karate by the end of the movie, too. Guess what? I can't. You ever do that? When you're a kid, you watch those karate movies and stuff. And you start running around the house, throwing high kicks.
In the 70s,
in got Detroit, it all figured out.
Every kid in Detroit thought they could do kung fu. Because Bruce Lee was dead by the time I was in elementary school, junior high, but his legacy lived on, and they started doing all the rip-off Bruce Lee movies where it would be starring Bruce L.I. or Bruce single E, or that kind of thing, and every kid thought they could do kung fu because they went and they spent 3 hours in the movie theater on Saturday, and they would be running down the street, jumping around.
Yeah, that's funny, man. I really like the fact that you brought up that particular quote about the guitars and guns. James Yeager and I did a video about this where I was talking about sort of the similarities between the gun world and the music world, and how the way that I look at it, the perspective that I have, which is, exactly what you said. You could buy a guitar and own a guitar, but it doesn't make you a musician. But in the same right, sitting in your bedroom and practicing scales up and down, you can get really good at scales under the best conditions, sitting on the edge of your bed or whatever it is, waiting for mom to cook dinner. And, the same thing goes with a handgun. You can go to the range under the most pristine conditions, where there's no pressure. You're on the firing line. You get your time, take your time to line up and take your shots. You can get really good at hitting bullseyes. You can hit bullseyes all day long, but that doesn't mean that you'll know how to apply that when a situation comes along. Part of playing guitar means getting past the point of getting good or being good at practicing scales and learning how to apply those scales or those skills into a song. So you learn different songs, you start to get better as a musician and develop sort of a feel. And then, the ultimate test is to be able to be flexible and improvise. So if something changes, let's say you were in a real world environment, you're on stage, and, something goes down, or, one guitar player falls out, or
you go from being a 5-piece to a 4-piece.
Exactly. Yeah, great. Exactly like that. Or, if you want to get up and jam one night and make something up on the spot, it's about being fluid enough with your tool, whether it's a guitar or a gun, to go with the flow and, and not have to think about it, and not have to think about what you're doing, to have it be such an extension of you that, you're not just really good at one thing. If you set me up on the firing line, I can hit a bullseye. But if you put me outdoors and ask me to shoot 3 different metal targets and then go back and shoot them again, I'm going to be totally lost. Especially
Or if you
for
have
time.
or if I ask you to move your feet, you're like, move my feet, but
Yeah.
I can't move my feet and do it.
Why? Why would I lock and do it?
Well, that would mess
There's
up
nowhere
my
to lock to
stance.
on an indoor range.
Yeah, exactly. It's like when people go to a range for the first time where they actually make you move, and they're like, what? Everywhere I've gone, you're not allowed to move. You have to stand still and do it because that's the safe way. Like, well, I guarantee you, if you find yourself in a situation where someone's trying to make you dead with a gun on the other side, you're going to move your feet.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. So, and
Get used to the feeling now.
yeah, get used to it. And
So
you're go ahead, Jared.
I would say it's kind of the same way. And I've come to the realization that it is exactly like Matt just described in every single aspect of life.
Exactly.
So I'm a professional
arts.
martial
Yeah.
artist. I've done cage fights, and it's the exact same thing. I've trained with people that are extremely good in the gym, but they get put under pressure. They get stuck out there in the cage with one other person and the huge crowd that's around them, and they cannot perform the way that they could in the gym because of some reason.
Yeah, in the gym they had time. They
Yep.
were warmed up. They weren't under stress. It's and they're very technically proficient. That's like learning scales or learning how to function the gun. People are like, I know how to shoot. I can shoot. Well, okay, I understand that you could make the gun operate. I understand that you can load it and all that, but can you do it under stress? Can you do it on demand?
So my point is, take yourself out of your comfort zone. Whatever you do, whatever your thing is on a daily basis, if you're practicing it, get out of your comfort zone.
And that's the hardest thing for people to do because there's that ego wrapped up in it. Nobody wants to look bad. Nobody wants to look not good. So we just do the stuff that we're good at over and over and over again. That'd be like you learning scales and you're like, that's all I'm going to do because I'm good at that. And if I try and branch out, then it might not sound good. So I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah, part of getting better is exposing weaknesses, and that goes for everything. There's nothing to be ashamed of with that. And it's one of the luxuries that I have with the travel that I do is I don't get to be stuck in a routine. Like I do different shoots for my charity, which we'll talk about here in a little bit.
Oh yeah, we got to talk about that.
I do get my range time standing at a firing line and lining up the sights and practicing the fundamentals. In no way do I think that practicing the fundamentals should be overlooked, but I do think it should be applied. And I get to meet different people like James or like you, Paul, or my buddy Colin down in Louisiana, my buddy Byron in Tennessee. Like I've got a handful of people that I go to, and they'll push me in different ways, or they just have different techniques or different ways of thinking or doing things. And they say, hey, try this. And I'm really terrible at it. And I'm like, that's great. I love that you showed me that because now I've got something else to think about and something else to work on.
Well, before we get too long, let's go ahead and do that right now because we absolutely want to promote your charity, and I will just shut my mouth and I'll let you tell the audience what it's all about.
Yeah. So the charity itself is called Star Treatments. And what I wanted to do was combine a little bit of what I do with rock and roll and, our lifestyle and everything and help give back to kids. So we reach out to families that have kids battling cancer or leukemia. And, there are a lot of these families that have to travel quite a ways to get their treatments done. So, like if one family is traveling, 3 to 5 hours in one direction to get to the children's hospital, we try to ease that trip for them, and we'll send out tour buses like the ones that we travel in to go pick them up and transport them to and from the hospital. So then the family doesn't have to worry about these long trips with, like paying everything out of pocket. And, a lot of families are living paycheck to paycheck as it is, and then you throw something like that in the mix. You've got gas money and, crappy transportation and, people taking time off of work. So with these buses, there's a front lounge, there's a back lounge, there are beds in them, there's a kitchen, there's a restroom. There are things for them to do and ways to make their trip a little bit more comfortable. So if they're feeling sick after their chemo treatment, they can go lay down in the back. If they need to use the restroom, if they're throwing up, like they could do that. Their mom and dad can lay down with them, take care of them rather than having to keep the kids strapped in the back seat. So that's what we do. We try to make that happen as much as we can, and we work hand in hand with some of these different tour bus companies in different regions of the United States, offer them tax incentives to, let us use buses that they're not currently renting. And then we cover things like, the cost of fuel or the driver's time if the driver doesn't want to donate their time. But that's pretty much the basis of it. In the process, we try to make the kids feel like a star on the way to getting their treatments done.
Man, that's
We'll
fantastic.
pack a bus full of goodies and, sign posters from different bands and things like that. Let them play video games with their friends and watch movies and do kid stuff.
So
Stay in good spirits.
For people that want to know, go to startreatments.org. That's correct?
That's correct.
Yep.
Yep.
Startreatments.org. You guys go there, check it out, watch. There's video material there. You can read all about it. But how do you? We were talking about how you're doing shoots. You're doing like celebrity shoots or charity shoots, or tell us about that.
Yeah, I wish I could say celebrity shoots, but it's just me. Well, what I'm doing currently is if you want to shoot with me one-on-one and I'm coming through your city, you can email me. All of my contact information is up on that website. And what we'll do is during the day before the show, I'll meet up with you at a gun range and we'll go shoot one-on-one. We'll try to find one that's close by and, can accommodate us. But basically for a donation to my charity, we'll go hang out and shoot. So I get a lot of people out where it's, their first time shooting or, they have picked up a pistol and, 15 years or whatever it is. And they just want something fun and different to do other than going to the concert.
There you go. Now, you have a gun sponsor for that?
Yeah, Cabot Guns. They make ultra premium 1911s. They sent out a few guns for me to use for these shoots, and that's what everyone's picking up and using, which is it's pretty awesome to see some of these women that come through, and it's their first time ever shooting, and they've got a full size 1911 in their hands, 45 ACP. Like, all right. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and they can do it. That's a crazy thing is people are like, it needs to be a 22 or something, and we could get into the weeds about like pressures and so forth. But as long as you teach them how to hold on to it and not drop it, they can deal with it. My wife shoots a 1911, not all the time, but and I have to remind her once in a while, but to take push the thing down so that it can fire. That little lever on the side. It's louder.
What's that called? A safety?
Yeah, it's louder if you push that lever down. It'll make more noise. But
what's funny is I've gone the other way before. Starting someone on like a 22 and then building them up through the calibers. Yeah, and every time that you say, "All right, well, let's try out this 9mm now," say, "Well, how bad is it?" What do you mean, how bad is it? It's gonna kick a little bit, it's gonna have some recoil to it.
Yeah.
Well, is it a lot worse than the other one? Well, no, pick it up, shoot it, see for yourself. If you only put one bullet in at a time, it doesn't matter. You can, if it scares the hell out of you, throw the gun down. It doesn't matter, like.
Well, you get a lot of them.
But
They get we get the American populace gets 99% of all their training through movies and television. So they believe that firearms are these mythical monsters that and then they hear things like kick and recoil and stuff, and they're like, is it going to kick? I hope it doesn't kick you. I could kick you, but I don't think the gun's going to. But
Well, it's that and these videos of like boyfriends giving the girlfriend the 12 gauge with a slug in it and hitting them in the face. I'm like,
yeah,
come on, dude.
those people need to be pimp slapped hard.
Yeah, that's not cool. Like, I'm not trying to set anyone up for failure ever. You know what I mean?
Right.
When people come and shoot with me, I spend more time going over the gun with them beforehand so that they know exactly what to expect and how to handle it. You know, I break it down very, very simple. Definitely don't want to see anyone getting hurt.
Absolutely. No, that's fantastic. And I tell you what, brother, it is nice to meet somebody like you. Like, for instance, we were up in Atlanta 2 weekends ago, and coincidentally, while we were in Atlanta, Michael Stipe got out, and he got up on front of a microphone, and he started, derp, derp, guns are bad, derp, derp, guns make me scared, derp, derp. And I was like, just shut up. But it's almost, you know, he's towing this like left-wing liberal propaganda line, and it's just so tiresome. And it's refreshing, you know, to meet and talk with people. And I know that there are people in the industry that are pro-Second Amendment, that are pro-liberty, that get it. But it just seems like first of all, you know, none of the big media outlets are going to promote you for being a gun person. They're going to promote Michael Stipe for, you know, going out and preaching against guns. And so it's kind of hard to weed through them. But it's always nice to talk to somebody that, you know, is in the public eye, but also gets it, is on our side.
Well, you know, I try to do my part, and you know, if that means that I have to build a custom bass that's got a 1911 built in the side of it, take that up on stage in front of 10,000 people and play it every night, then that's what I'm going to do. You know, I'd rather have people ask questions, say, what's this about? What's that about? You know, I'm not, I guess I'm not trying to use my position in the spotlight as some sort of politician, I guess. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I'm not going to back down and cower and hide what I believe in. It's part of who I am, you know, and part of my beliefs, where there are more good guys with guns than bad guys with guns, then the good guys win.
Exactly.
Well, you know what? You know how Matt got to this position is he had the courage to overcome a fear that he had. He had a fear of guns because he didn't understand them, and he had the courage to tell himself, I am afraid of this because I don't understand it, so I'm going to make myself go learn about it. And so Matt, you've had the opportunity to come from full circle, basically, and the other side of it is people that are stuck at that fear and they don't have the courage to go learn about it to overcome that fear.
It's easier just to take up the mantra and say, oh, well, I'm scared and I wish no one had guns. Well, you know what? I wish I had $1 billion and I wish it would rain ice cream, but it's not going to happen. You know, bad people are always going to have guns. Bad people are never not going to have weapons. So good people,
because the laws don't apply to people who don't listen to laws. You know, and there's someone in the music industry, I won't name names, who they said something a while back, like if I'm going to mess this up, but it was something to the effect of, if I could get rid of all the guns in the world just to save one child's life, I would. Like, why would you even bother saying that? Like, is that supposed to make you look like a hero? Because if you had the power to do something, then you would do it. Like, it's just senseless babble. You know, it's like bad-mouthing people who would inevitably protect you. If someone, you know, opened fire and I was standing next to him, you know, you're damn right I would fire back and try to protect him and anyone around him and help save lives.
Oh, well, if I could wish upon a star. And you know what I would have said to that guy? You know what? That kid that you saved would be killed with a sword. So, sorry. people were dying by the sword way before the Chinese invented gunpowder. And if all guns were to go away tomorrow, bad people would take rocks and clubs and sticks and sharp objects, and they would hurt good people because that is the way it's always been. But we live in America, and your feelings are more important than anything else.
Mm-hmm. I've met people that I've taken out to the gun range who've wanted to learn more about it, and run them through it, and it's still not their thing. But 9 times out of 10, even in that slight margin where, someone's not immediately like, oh, wow, that was a great time. Oh, wow, I want to learn more about that. 9 times out of 10, they still leave with respect about it, and more of an understanding about it, even if it's not for them. Right. Not everybody is meant to carry a gun. Not everybody has that mentality. Ultimately, what you're saying is, like, I'm willing to sacrifice, possibly my life for someone else's. Like, if you're out in public, in a public scenario, a lot of people think that you carry a gun for self-defense. And, speaking for myself, like, that's not always the case. That's not always the mentality. Like, I think about a lot of these things that go on, like the movie theater shootings and the mall shootings and senseless things that happen all over our country. And I think, wow, all that needs to happen is for someone to step up. If someone would step up in that situation, there could have been lives saved.
And that's someone.
Bottom line. It's not about saving my life, but the possibility that, instead of 12 casualties, maybe there were only 2.
Yep. And that someone they need to actually not just be a gun owner or a guitar owner. They need to actually know how to play it. And that is where, people like, where the other side, they're like, they're blah, 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 untrained people. It's like, well, yeah, I'll go with your argument there. If you hand someone a gun and they're untrained, they're probably not going to be very effective because they're not going to be confident and they won't be able to do what needs to be done. I'll give you that. But we're not advocating untrained people carry guns. We're advocating that once you get it, that you're a beginner once, but you should be a student for life, and that your first class shouldn't be your last class. Your first exposure shouldn't be your last exposure. That should be just the beginning of your learning. And and I know that from talking to you that you're down with that idea, that you understand that the first class shouldn't be the last.
Yeah, that's the best thing about it, and that's also the scariest thing about it, because I feel like, the percentage of people that feel that drive to learn more and to get better at that craft, it's probably a lot less than I would like it to be. Because I see a lot of people who, they think like, it's always like an excuse. Well, I haven't been to the range lately and I haven't done this and I haven't done that. I really got to get the wife out to the range so she remembers how to, work her gun and how to load it and everything. Well, dude, if you need a refresher on how to load your gun properly, you shouldn't be carrying it around every day. Plain and simple.
I'll know what to do. If it's ever time, I'll know.
Except not.
I mean, and it's one of these things too, it's like a driver's license. Okay. You wouldn't get your driver's license and then sit on it without driving for 5 years or 10 years or however long it is before you have to renew your driver's license, and then all of a sudden go out and practice driving just so you can pass your driver's test again, or renew your driver's license.
Oh, right.
Like I was talking to James about this last time I saw him, and I said, using the driver's license, it's another form of federal license or state license that we go through as citizens. Let's say you went through all of your driver's training courses when you're 16 years old and you get your driver's license, and then you graduate high school and you move to New York City where you don't need a car. And you don't drive a car, you don't touch a car, you're not in one, you're taking cabs, you're taking subways and everything, you got a bicycle to get around or whatever it is. Then you come home for the holidays 10 years later. You're at home with mom. Something happens, there's an emergency, she's got to go to the hospital, and you're the only person to drive her. Well, now you're jumping into a car. You have a license. You have a valid license. You have driven before. You know the mechanics behind driving a car. You know, turn left to go left, gas, brake, all those things. But now it's something that you haven't practiced in 10 years, and you're adding the element of stress to it. Like, I have to do this right now. You're not going to, like, there's a chance that you might be able to get behind the wheel of that car and drive your mom to the hospital quickly, effectively, and safely. But it's not going to be second nature like it would be to someone like you or I who drive practically every day. You know, it's just a part of life. It's you know, we don't have to think about the mechanics of driving. And it's the same thing with having a pistol license, you know, a license to carry concealed or to carry at all. It's just that. It's a license to carry. And it doesn't mean that you are a good operator of that vehicle or of that gun, that tool. You know, simply having the license doesn't mean anything if you don't have the training and if you don't get to the point where you don't have to think about it. You know?
Well, no, you're absolutely right, man. And that's why you and I are here. That's why we do this, is so that, because I know that there's somebody out there listening right now that's kind of hanging their head and they're like, I'm that guy that they're talking about.
If you're that guy that's hanging your head and saying that's good, you're admitting that you're that guy. Yeah. Now fix that problem.
Fix yourself.
Yeah. No one wants to be that guy, you know, and I'm that guy a lot. I had to, you know, part of the reason why I did these Shoot for the Stars meet and greets is so that I would force myself to go to the range in any form while I'm on the road and while I'm traveling, and, you know, not just wait till I get home. Like, oh, I'll put it off until I see my buddy in this state, or I'll put it off till then. At least I'm, you know, it may not be training, but at least I'm getting some trigger time spread out throughout the week.
There you go. Man, that's fantastic. All right, we're about out of time, and Jared, the studio engineer, is like, give me the finger. Not that finger. He's giving me the roll. He's doing the rolly finger, not the middle finger.
I don't want to come. So we gotta go.
Oh, but tell everybody in the Student Gun listening audience, just give them a quick breakdown about where they can catch Pop Evil this summer. As I know your guys are on the road.
Yeah, we're on tour right now with Rob Zombie and Disturbed, and we're doing a bunch of festivals. Then we'll be out with Three Doors Down. So if you go to popevil.com, you can find a list of our tour schedule, at least what we've put out there so far. Facebook/Pop Evil should have all that stuff up there too. Now, if you want to know more about my charity, it's startreatments.org. Feel free to check that out. All my contact information is on there, separate from my other information. So if you email me on there, please only email me about charity-related things. Otherwise, your email will be dismissed.
Well, yeah, I was going to send you a song idea in that email. Hey, Three Doors Down they're from here.
Mississippi. Yeah.
They're from Mississippi.
Yeah.
They're Mississippi boys. You have any idea if and when you're going to be back in Mississippi?
I don't. I haven't gotten a list of those specific dates yet, but those guys are all down to shoot. They've all got custom rifles being made by 5.56 Tactical. It's all in the family. I was showing them, you know, the Cabots the other day. We've been doing a handful of festivals together and stuff too. And so those guys are excited to shoot and want to.
We need to get you. We want to see an entire show because you guys, you know, when you have three bands on stage, you know, you're not doing 90 minutes. You're doing just a portion of that. But I was talking with Zach and Jared about, we wish you could come back down to the Hard Rock or something and just do an entire show.
That would be cool.
Because we missed.
That'd be great.
Yeah, we missed you last time you were here, and that's been several years though, hasn't it? Since you guys did Hard Rock in Biloxi.
Yeah, it has. Yeah, I think I was still drinking back then, so that's at least over 2.5 years ago.
Was it before the Onyx album, or it might have been the Onyx tour? I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember entirely. It might have been when that first came out.
Which has been a while.
We're talking, 3.5 years ago, something like that. So it's about time we get back down there anyways. I'm sure we'll be doing some dates near you with the Three Doors Down guys, since they're from that area.
So
all right.
we talked about shoot one-on-one with Matt Dorito. So how if you're going to somebody's city that's listening to us, how do they go about getting a hold of you to do that?
They can email me at matt@startreatments.org. It's a pretty simple email address. And just say, hey, I'm in the city. I want to do a shoot. What's it going to take? And I've got a woman that I work with that helps coordinate the shoots, and I'll put her on copy, and that's that. We'll go from there. Not all the days are good days for me to shoot. Like if I'm coming through and it's a festival, traffic's going to be bad. It's going to be near impossible for me to leave the grounds to go shoot and then come back. So we just kind of have to look at it day by day and figure that out.
All right, Matt Dorito from Pop Evil, the bass player extraordinaire, and your bass work on Torn to Pieces was phenomenal. Yeah, just so you know.
Thank you.
Just so you know, and you freaks out there who are listening to me right now, I know what you're going to do. You're going to go to Amazon Prime Music and you're going to listen to Pop Evil, and at least two of their albums are on Amazon Prime Music.
I think they've got everything on iTunes because we're special.
Oh, and on iTunes too.
Oh yeah.
All right, Matt Dorito, thank you very much for being a guest on Student of the Gun, and I'm guessing that you know what you are and you didn't even know it.
What's that?
You're a student of the gun, and you didn't even know you were a student of the gun, but you are.
Yes.
So what Matt's going to do is he's going to say, I am Matt Dorito, and I am a student.
No, he's going to say, I'm Matt Dorito with Pop Evil, and I am a student of the gun.
I'm Matt Dorito from Pop Evil, and I'm a student of the gun.
That just happened.
That's good.
There it is. Hey, thanks for having me on the show, man. I really appreciate it. I love the chance to sit back, jib jab a little bit about about firearms anytime. So,
what you gonna do when it all comes back to the place that you never wanted it to come back to? And where you gonna roll when the bottom drops out and you got no place to go? Who you gonna trust when trust is a must? You better roll with the rest of us. So pack your bags and all the faith you can, cause it's about ready to hit the fan. Come to the ready. It's 2012, all about the re-election of an antichrist. Come to the ready. You don't believe me, just look deep into the soul of the liar's eyes. Come to the ready. Constitution of our nation.
Rockin'. Come to the ready. Madison Rising. All right, just a quick USCCA after action. This is something that Jared and I were talking about. We were at the USCCA Concealed Carry Expo and walked around, and there was 70, 80 plus vendors there. I guess it was like 80 plus vendors and booths and what have you. And we saw some really interesting things, some useful things, and then we saw some not so useful things. Some things that what did was it CNC Music Factory, like things you make you go like, for instance, things that they call holsters that aren't really, things that you stick into the muzzle of your gun and shove into your pants with the trigger exposed.
Were they there?
Oh, they were there.
I didn't see them.
Oh yeah,
I deliberately blocked my mind.
Here's the deal, folks. It's real super simple. That curvy thing on your handgun, that kind of like slightly curved thing that moves back and forth, that is the trigger. The trigger is the go button. The trigger is the volume control on your pistol. It makes it loud. Now, the gun is designed to go bang. It wants to. That's its whole purpose in life, is going bang. And if it won't go bang, then it's not a good gun. But the trigger is the go switch, all right? If you're going to carry a gun on your body, whether it's in a pocket or in a waistband holster or on your hip or whatever, I don't care, you need to cover the trigger. It needs to be covered so that the only time that the trigger can be accessed by you is when you deliberately, on purpose, have the gun in your hand and want to press the trigger to make it go bang on purpose, deliberately. So if you encounter some type of a system, and there are people out there that are trying to sell you carrying, storing, oh, you can put a gun here and you can attach a gun to your body this way and you can stick it here and here and here, and it doesn't include guarding, covering, or protecting the trigger, it's a dangerous proposition, and don't do it. I'm just telling you. I'm just saying. That's all I'm going to say. I'm just saying. I'm just telling you. You don't understand. I've been carrying my gun in a waistband, just shoved in my waistband for 27 years, and nothing bad has ever happened. Until that one time that it does. All right, kids, that's it, man. Wow. Woo! I hope you appreciate our Guns and Rock and Roll special edition interview with you guys. What do you guys think about Matt Dorito and Pop Evil? Pretty cool, huh? Pretty cool. I hope that you guys, I know that a lot of you are going to jump over to their page, and if you enjoyed it, I don't know, go to their Facebook page and give them a hey, hello, how are you, or whatever you guys do on Facebook. You just do your thing.
Hey, heard you on Student of the Gun. Thanks.
Heard you on Student of the Gun. Thanks. Also, seriously, go to startreatments.org and check out what Matt is doing for kids with cancer.
That's right.
That's like the worst thing in the world is a kid that has cancer, because kids are innocent. They don't deserve that. But the world is an imperfect place, and sometimes it happens, and people like Matt are trying to make it a little better for the families. So check him out.
And while you're on the Facebook page over there, I'm not sure if he's got a Facebook page for Star Treatments.
We'll have to find out.
But while you're over there, hop on over to Student of the Gun Facebook page and check out the events that we have coming up. If you're on,
yes, very soon we're going to be in Louisville.
Yes, if you're on the computer, you can just scroll down a little bit and it says events. And it has like everything that we're going to do. It's on there right now.
That's crazy.
If you're on your mobile device, you have to click the events tab.
All right, crazy. We will, grad program hippies, we will talk to you tomorrow. The rest of you freaks, talk to you on Monday.
Your homework is to share this show with one Pop Evil fan or somebody that is a Pop Evil fan and doesn't even know it yet.